Hey guys, Harry here from the Art Gear Guide. Thank you very much for joining me today. As you can see, I have a video here of my art book list for Christmas. Now, when I first started doing the lists, I did, for the first 2 years that I was doing the colour pencil reviews and then the Art Gear Guide, the lists were of just affordable but desirable items. This year, 2019, I decided to kind of like expand that a little bit, and I came out with an affordable list of like desirable items, and I also did like a luxury list, because we're all different. Some people can afford a little bit more Christmas than others, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that's fine. So I wanted to have two lists. As I was finishing up the luxury list, I thought to myself, because I looked over and I seen all the books that I have as well, and I thought, wouldn't it be great to do a list of really good art books, especially primarily aimed at coloured pencil artists, watercolour pencil artists, that type of thing. Wouldn't it be great to do a list of really good books as well? So I did that, and this is it. Now, all the books that are in this list I have personally purchased, read, and gone through. Only one of them I'm still in the process of finishing it off and writing a proper detailed review for. But I'll let you know which one that is when I come to it. But the rest of them I've read. Some of them I have reviews up on the website for. The rest I'll get round to doing individual reviews for at a later date in 2020. But I just thought that this would be another really good list to have for you guys, because not everybody wants coloured pencils or sets or accessories or something like that. Some people are looking for a really good book that's going to help them refine their skills, and so hopefully this list will give you a little bit of an idea. And don't forget, you can print this list out, leave it all around your house, that type of thing, with a big red mark round it, big red circle around the item that you want, and just subtly drop those hints to your loved ones. They'll probably dread Christmas coming around, because if I come out with another list or anything they got there, you'll have all these printouts all over the place with all these big red circles around these gifts that you want your loved ones to buy for you. But that's Christmas, isn't it? So anyway, let's get on with this list, and we'll take a look at what we have. So the first book on the list is The Art of Coloured Pencil Drawing. Now, this book was done by Cynthia Knox. If you're not aware of who Cynthia Knox is, you really should be, because Cynthia is a huge name in the colour pencil world. There's a platform called Craftsy, which does artists go on there and they do courses. And Cynthia has a few courses on Craftsy, where she teaches you colour pencil, how to use colour pencils and what have you. Some of the courses are more specific, like flowers. One specific to flowers. One specific to textures and things like that. And it's the same with Cynthia's books. Cynthia's got quite a lot of books to her name that she's penned over the years. And again, some of those books are more specific, like flowers, wildlife, that type of thing. The reason I chose this one is because when I purchased this book, it was to learn more about coloured pencils. Obviously, I knew what coloured pencils were. When I first got into the medium, I really didn't understand the complexities, really, of a colour pencil and how to do, and how these simple coloured pencils that we used to use as kids, the types of pencils that are about now, just the level of detail and work that we can get. So I bought this book, and I didn't regret it one bit. Cynthia goes over some of the materials, that type of thing that you're going to be using, how to use them, that type of thing. After the beginning of the book, where she goes into the supplies, coming into chapter 3, she goes over landscapes a little bit. And then in chapter 4, she talks a little bit about animals, and then highlights botanical stuff like flowers and foliage in chapter 5. This book really covers a wide area of coloured pencils genre. And then in chapter 6, she looks at still life as well, a little bit about that, which still life may not be something that you're interested in, but if you can master it, it'll stand you in such good stead going forward for anything else that you do, because when you're doing still life, you learn so much about lighting, shadows, about value, all those really important subjects that you need to know whenever you're going into much finer detailed art. And Cynthia does that in this book, The Art of Colour Pencil Drawing. Fantastic book. Next is the Pastels for Absolute Beginner, and this is by Rebecca de Mendonca. So I'm sorry if I've pronounced your name wrong, Rebecca. I really apologize. This is the book that I was telling you about that I haven't quite got round to doing the review for. I've got all my notes and stuff like that. I've finished reading it. It's a fantastic book. Really, really excellent book. And it does exactly what it says on the tin. It's Pastels for Absolute Beginners. I love the pastel medium, whether it's block or pencils. And I know some people can't stand the blocks because of the texture, that type of thing. But I really wanted to refine my pastel art. I've watched certain pastel artists, and the work that they can create with pastels is just phenomenal. And so I reached out, told Rebecca that I wanted to review this book, and she kindly sent it to me. So I was over the moon, getting the book. The stuff that's in here, it's chronologically laid out, which I love. Some books that I've picked up over the past, and they're not in this list, but some books that I've picked up over the past, they don't really chronologically lay out the book. And what I mean by that is, this book is laid out as if you've walked into a room, you've never touched pastels before in your life, and Rebecca goes through the sequence and process of you getting started into pastels and laying out your the area that you're going to be working at, that type of thing. She does a fantastic job at laying everything out, and it's just excellent. So some of the areas that you will cover is like landscapes as well. She talks a little bit about landscapes, different pastel techniques, the different types of papers that are available, because that's very important. The different types of pastel pencils and blocks, and the different companies about that do these pastels. She also tackles colour theory in here as well, which is so important. Might be dead boring, but it's so important, and it's so vital that you learn colour theory as well. And then finally at the end, she talks a little bit about composition, which again is another thing so many of us overlook, but it's such an important part of you creating your own art. So if you're into pastels, or you're looking about getting into pastels, this is a fantastic book to start off with. Next on here is 12 Colour Pencil Techniques by Cindy Wider. Now, Cindy is a great artist. Cindy is from Australia. In fact, this book was the very first book I ever reviewed. So I'll have a link to the review in this description box down below. But Cindy does so much. She runs like a class where for all different age artists, kids and stuff like that as well. Plus she has so many different projects going on herself, and she also writes books and other things, pamphlets, manuals and stuff like that there, showing you how to do like certain little things in small bite-size bits. But this book, 12 Colour Pencil Techniques. So again, Cindy, when she starts the book off, it's kind of like laid out in weeks. So it's done like week 1, week 2, week 3, and at the end of each week there's like a little bit of an assessment that you can do. And what it does is it just lets you know what you've picked up, what you haven't picked up, what you might need to go back over and learn again in week 1. It really is a teaching book for getting into colour pencils, and that's one of the things I absolutely loved about it. You can go over these weeks at your own leisure, do them, sit down, do the assessment, take a little look at what you've done, and then maybe if you're not too sure about a certain aspect of whatever that week was that it was teaching you, then go back over it, have a little look at it, and I think it'll really help you. She also talks about things like the colour wheel, how to use the colour wheel, light fastness, what is light fastness, that that type of thing. Different techniques that you can use, making sure that your pencil point is really sharp. The effects that you can get from a sharp pencil and a blunt pencil, hatching, scumbling, layering, using erasers, not just like getting rid of mistakes, but using them to your advantage to create different techniques. Excellent book, really, really good. Next here is To Draw Portraits in Colour Pencil. This is done by Anne Kohlberg. I'm sure a lot of you know who Anne Kohlberg is, and she's another huge name in the world of colour pencils. Anne Kohlberg has a monthly magazine called Colour Magazine, which I obviously put my reviews into. I'm lucky enough to be able to put my reviews into once a month. But Anne publishes a lot of books, a lot of artists and stuff like that go through Anne to publish her own books as well, but Anne has her own books out, and this is one of them. Now, I bought this book a long time ago because I watched so many wonderful colour pencil artists do portraiture, and the realism that they were able to accomplish was just mind-blowing, and I just thought to myself, I would love to be able to do that. So in this book, it's actually broke down by a lot of different artists, and they get together in this book, and so each artist will talk about each different thing. So I'm trying to think the actual. So Cynthia Knox is in here, and she covers clothes and texture. Laurie Garner as well. She covers drawing noses with freckles. Kate Clark, she does eyes. There's so many different really prominent colour pencil artists that have come together to put this book together. So you're getting a wealth of knowledge from all these different artists when it comes to portraiture. So it's a really, really valuable book. It gives you such a broad insight into how other artists approach things. Next is Bird Art, drawing birds using graphite and colour pencils. This book is done by Alan Willett. I'm sure a lot of you know who Alan is. The work that Alan does with colour pencils and the bird art that he does is just phenomenal. And it's not just the actual birds. When the art that he's doing, like owls and things like that that'll be in a barn, the work that he does in creating wood textures or stones or trees, things like that, it just helps to set off the amazing work that he does with the actual birds. But the backgrounds that he creates as well are just as phenomenal. His work is mind-blowing, really is. But in this book, Alan goes over, like most of them, talking a little bit about the materials that you need or you could use, that type of thing. He also talks about, because it's graphite and colour pencils, so he talks about graphite and colour pencils, the types of colour pencils that you can use. Talks about composition, and once Alan has kind of like broke down the basics, different techniques, he then kind of like goes into 5 different birds. So the last couple of chapters or the last couple of parts of the book are different birds that he's done, and the different poses that they have, that type of thing. And it's just a fantastic book all in all. Next in the list is You Can Draw Simple Techniques for Realistic Drawings by Leonardo Perez Neto. Now, I found, when I first started getting into colour pencils and art and stuff like that, I found Leonardo Perez Neto on YouTube. He's an Italian artist. He's got his YouTube channel in English and in Italian. But when I used to watch him on YouTube, the drawings that he would do were with kind of like, they were small drawings, but they were amazing drawings. So they weren't like these big, massive things. And it was all aimed at teaching you a certain aspect of graphite or coloured pencils or charcoal, that type of thing, whether it be lighting or reflection, stuff like that. Then he obviously came out with this book. And I eventually was able to get hold of the book because the UK always seems to be kind of like last when it comes to getting these types of books on the shelves or in Amazon. But when I purchased this book, it was just like, all of the videos that I had watched from Leonardo Perisnetto, this book just complemented those beautifully, because it went into a little bit more detail than what he went into on the video, broke things down a little bit better, and the understanding of what he was doing on the videos just became so much more clear. I learned so much from his YouTube videos, and his books were just amazing. This book, I'm not 100% sure if he's done other books, but this book here in particular, I really, really enjoyed it. Next is The Realism Challenge by Mark Crilly. Now, Mark Crilly was the very, very first person that I started watching on YouTube when it came to graphite pencils, and a little bit about colour pencils, but not much, mainly graphite. It was when I first got into art and I just wanted to know a little bit more about drawing. I really liked manga at the time. I've never read a manga book or watched an anime or anything like that. I just loved the artwork. And when I was watching Mark Crilly's videos, Mark Crilly was able to create beautiful artwork with just a Dixon Ticonderoga HB pencil, a black Prismacolor pencil, and a little bit of white gouache and an eraser. That was it. Not too much, you didn't have to run out and spend hundreds of pounds on supplies or anything like that. You followed along his tutorials. He had things laid out on grids, that type of thing. It was really, really easy to follow along with what he was doing. And all the work I followed along with, I never produced anything like Mark was able to do. But when he brought out this book, his Realism Challenge, it was amazing. Now, he used to occasionally drop in a realism video in amongst all his manga stuff, because he actually has manga books as well that you can buy, and like they're proper story books. It's not like tutorials, although he does have a manga tutorial book, but that's his bread and butter, I think, is the manga story books. Occasionally he would drop in a Realism Challenge, like he would pick a spoon, just a household object, a spoon, and then draw it. My favourite one that he done was a playing card. He ripped the playing card in 4 different bits, took a photograph of it with the lighting and everything so that there was shadow on it, and then he drew it, and it was just amazing watching him draw it. Then he came out with his book, The Realism Challenge, which obviously had those elements of the videos that he had done in it. And when he was... The thing about the book is, he goes into the importance of light and shadow, how to draw a transparent object, or how to draw something that's a metallic surface, and then adding colour into these different things, how you can draw a clear transparent glass but use so much colour in it. It's absolutely fantastic book. I love it. I still reference it all the time. Some of the stuff I still can't wrap my head around, but he is an absolutely outstanding artist. If you don't buy the book, you definitely got to go and watch his videos if you don't already do so. The next book is The Ultimate Guide to Colour Pencils by Gary Green. Now, I bought this book twice. The first time I bought it, I downloaded it in a digital format, and for me personally, I'm okay reading novels, like fiction books, on a digital format. But when it comes to books like this, what I would call like a coffee table book, a book that anybody could just pick up. You don't have to start from the beginning and work your way to the end. You can pick it up. You can look at the table of contents and pick out a section that you want to read about. I don't really think they do that well in digital format. That's just my own opinion. That's just for me personally. And so I bought it again in its proper book version, and I loved it. And I got so much more from it in that version as opposed to the digital version. I was able to flick through it and pick out the sections that I needed. But as it says here, it's the ultimate guide to colour pencils. So in the book, Gary goes through so many different things, from the materials that you're going to use, the different types of paper, layering, burnishing, all the different techniques that you can use with colour pencils, the accessories that you can use to get you certain techniques, everything. It's a really, really excellent all-round book. The next one here is Botanical Penton with colour pencil artist Anne Swan. Now, when I was doing my reviews, when I first done my reviews, I would just do the review of the pencils. I would just do like a swatch, and that would be about it. I really wanted to do some art with everything I was reviewing, because I knew that would give a better demonstration of the actual product. But I was only doing manga and stuff like that, and that wasn't beneficial to everybody. So I wanted to try and do something that everybody was going to like, and I wanted to try and broaden my art skills, so to speak, like bird drawing with the Alan Willett book. Botanical art was something that I loved looking at. When I was going on Pinterest and Instagram, that type of thing, I seen all this stuff and I just really wanted to try it. In particular, like, you know, fruit, veg. It sounds daft, but they look brilliant when you draw them. This book, Botanical Penton, with colour pencils by Anne Swan, was the one that I found and absolutely loved it. It helped me just to broaden my horizons for whenever I was doing the reviews, so that I wasn't just drawing manga for people or fan art. I was able to then switch it up a little bit and go and do some like botanical work, flowers, that type of thing, because it just adds for me, it added a little bit more variety into my reviews, and added a little bit more of a better dimension to the reviews as well. And a lot of that was down to this book here by Anne Swan. Okay, so finally is the book. It's called Colour Pencil Painting Bible by Aliona Nicholson. Now, Aliona Nicholson's a good friend of mine. She has another book out which is all about portraiture, and I was really torn between putting that book in this list or this one, or even both of them. But I chose this one because for me, when I bought this book, Colour Pencil Painting Bible by Aliona Nicholson, it covered so many different things that it helped me much more than what the portraiture one did. Because the portraiture one, obviously, there were so many different things that you could pick up from the portraiture one that you could take into other genres of colour pencil art. But with this one, with this Colour Pencil Painting Bible, I just think if you're starting out, or you are like an oil painting artist and you're just moving over to colour pencils, or you know, you're an artist and you're coming over to the medium of colour pencil, this book would be great for you, because it just helps you to understand the levels and complexity that you can achieve with colour pencils. So, as with most of these books at the beginning, Aliona goes into great detail about the materials, papers, things like that you can take a look at. She also talks a lot about lighting and composition, which are really, really important areas for any work that you're doing, because being able to create light and shadows and stuff like that brings a whole new dimension to your work, brings a certain element of realism to it, and Aliona covers this so eloquently in this book. It really is excellent. But like I say, I was really torn as to which one of these books from Aliona Nicholson to put in. But it was like so many of these other artists that's in this list. They have other books out. Not all of them. I don't have all of them. I haven't read all of them. So those books I obviously couldn't put in. But with the likes of Cynthia Knox as well, she has got so many different books out. It's really, really impressive, and I'd love to have put them all in, but I wanted to keep the list quite small and as broad as I could, so it wasn't all the books that were in this list weren't just covering the same type of topic, and they're not. So I hope you enjoy this list. Definitely have a look at it. Go across onto my written review as well. I have links to all these books. And the ones that I've done reviews for, I will have a link to the reviews, like the Cindy Wider one and the Aliona Nicholson one, which actually, incidentally, isn't in the list, but nevertheless, you can still go across and take a little look at the review. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. I hope these three lists have been beneficial to you in some way, shape, or form. And I am, of course, joking when I say about, you know, printing things out and putting them all around the house and subtly dropping hints to your loved ones. It's just these lists are just there to help you for ideas of getting the gift for an artist loved one of yours, or something you might want that one of your loved ones is struggling don't know what to get you for Christmas, maybe these lists can jog your memory of something that you've seen when you've been looking around Amazon or something like that, and you thought to yourself, well, that would be great, I would love to get my hands on that. And then this list might jog your memory and you might go, all right, okay, so there's a good idea of something that you can get me for Christmas. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for your support, for watching these videos, for coming up with all the ideas for them, because I wasn't going to do these videos. It was a lot of you guys asking for me to do this that made me do it. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you again in the next video. Bye.